The only living thing that brain is protected is a woodpecker. They can bang on their head all day long and it doesn't affect them. Human beings can't do that. Well, my coaching history goes all the way back to high school coaching. I've climbed that ladder and it's been awfully good to me. When I came here, the Eagles just sort of were in disarray. They'd traded away all the draft choices for 3 years to get some good players. Unfortunately, some of them made it. But they were a losing football team. They'd lost a lot of games, hadn't been in playoffs in a long time.
We wanted to win. We were tired of losing. We would do anything to win. And this guy got up to us from a college coach, UCLA, to head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Coming up through coaching like I did, I learned a lot from the kids I coached. And you gradually build a philosophy that really you're not coaching football, you're coaching people that play football.
He just changed the whole game. They looked up to him. They respected him. That's what he talked about. And I assume many of his other fellow players felt the same way.
We had the opportunity to really go to work.
It was 2.5 hours in the morning, 3.5 hours in the afternoon, 6.5 days a week for 9 weeks.
What I have recognized in that kind of an approach, it brings players closer together. They bond a little bit more together when they're all going through hell together to get better. We'd be out there 2 hours, 45 minutes, twice a day, full pads, and that's our own ignorance. We weren't far enough along. You know, now you can't practice that way, you can't coach that way, you can't control your own hours on the field, and it's all for the good. It's all for the good. Coming up through football as I did, every once in a while I go back and look at a film. The game was played lower, using the forehead in there rather than the hands out here in front all the time. Defensive linemen would headbutt as a technique.
Defense was the name of the game back then. Big, strong, purple people eaters, the Iron Curtain, doomsday defense. I'd look over at Stosh. He would look at me and he goes, well, I love you, partner, but we're fixing to die. And it may be before we get back here in 15 seconds. 10, 5, 4, 3, bingo.
Yeah, go.
They played hurt. They played hurt. They had put out the annual catalog. Frank was still on there as one of the people who had played the most games without missing a game. 121, 129, something substantial. So he prided himself in that. He said, it's not like I wasn't hurt. I played hurt.
Concussions were part of the game. Protocol was they would go over there and look at Sisemore. He got hit pretty hard. The trainer would go, how many fingers do I have up? I said, he says, you're right. He's good, coach. You know, it's kind of like, okay. Where am I? You know, what day is it?
In the old days, you just said you got dinged. Oh, you go sit down, clear your head when you're ready to go, come back in, That's just how it was, We were all unaware, all of us.
We crawled from worst in the league to almost first in 5 years. 5 years, working longer and harder than anyone in the business.
We were married in 2009. Frank was a very friendly guy, very social. People liked him. He was very likable. He was interesting. He was energetic and very handsome. He ended up having back issues. very early in our relationship. He attested it to the football. It seemed to be related to the CTE. They said they could see where in the brain that would control his movements. He had told me very early on, anything ever happens to me, I want my brain to go to Boston University, CTE, for research.
CTE is caused in part by repetitive blows to the head. And they happen just because of the game. That's the routine play of American football. The progression of CTE occurs years or decades after the person stops getting hit. And eventually enough brain tissue is hurt that the symptoms begin, and if it progresses over time, they may be considered to have dementia.
He could carry on a conversation and regale stories of the past, but if you got with a bigger group, he'd get quiet, you could tell. My family, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, they were noticing it. His boys came in to watch the NFC championship that February, and they were pretty set back. They could really see what a decline it was. We didn't have that much longer after that.
We started hearing the junior say out type things, and these kind of deaths occurring, and the person not acting normal as a former pro football player. All of a sudden, as a retired coach, you have time to look into it, and then you're talking to your own guys, and they're talking about issues that they've had, and fearful of the direction they're going. I maintain a good contact and good relationship with many of my players, so I know what they go through.
Stosh is going through this. Two of our other guys have died. Guy Morris and I are the same age, and we were roommates. It was almost like God made us amigos. He didn't even know who he was. He died from the inside out. To see it happen and feel it happening is hideous. You're angry, you're bipolar, you make no sense. Here it comes. What's the last thing you're going to remember?
I knew a lot of the players and their families who were either named in the initial individual lawsuits or in the settlement. And I was delighted that finally, from what I heard on the surface, there was going to be some compensation. It was described as this settlement is going to compensate you if you have any of the problems associated with CTE or Alzheimer's disease or any of these other things, you're going to get paid. And so I started to read what was in the preliminary settlement materials. And I was really kind of horrified. A lot of what was being said to the former players did not match up to what was actually happening.
So initially he went, and I think he was 66, and we had seen the neurologist who had indicated, he saw some issues. Then you have to go to a psychiatric neurologist, and I call it the SATs of testing your brain. They declined him. The NFL clearly knows there's issues and have put somebody like Frank through this procedure, through the upset through the anger. You know you have issues, and why are you making this so tough?
The biggest thing that gave me concern was the lack of fairness and justice involved, and the lack of appropriateness of the assessments and the algorithms used for decision-making about compensation.
That took almost 2 years to get that result. And by this time, Frank is clearly declining. He went back and he saw the same neurologist who could see a heavy decline. So Frank ended up getting a settlement. I can tell you what it was, $172,000. Some of it goes to lawyers to get split out. I think Frank's first payment was $80,000 of it. So the rest was either gone or held back on lien. The day before he died, the $54,000 came to him.
Well, I get upset that the wives and the players within this environment are being put through such a almost demeaning routine. I feel sometimes they're being accused of lying, and that bothers me. You know, I've spoken at a few funerals in the last few years. In 2 of the 3 that I spoke, their brain was sent and they had CTE.
I had gotten the first indication of what their findings were. They said, we did not even need to put this under the microscope to see the level of CTE in his brain. They said to me he had the highest level of CTE that they provide, which is level 4.
You can go online to the Alumni Association and all that stuff, and you can find out how to buy t-shirts wholesale. You know, geez, how unimportant is that? But the real things, help me in those areas. I just think we've got to streamline the process. Let's help these guys and keep solving the problems as we improve the game like they have. But the process they put people through to get $150,000, then you have to give some of it over here, and some of it by that time, by they play the lawyer and the fee, they don't get much to live a year on. That bothers me. They're both gone. Claude Humphrey, Charlie Johnson. That's Wilbert Montgomery, Showman. Sometimes you feel a little guilty. Yeah. You. It hurts because you were the coaching staff. You were coaching these guys to be better football players. You feel like maybe you contributed to their issues. Yes, they're playing the game, but you're running the game. It bothers me. Yeah. I'm here in a successful life because of those guys. I didn't play a snap, and I feel a real responsibility to represent them that they deserve, and I know other coaches feel the same way.
So this is the football, the game ball that Coach Vermeil gave to all of the players when they won the NFC Championship game. It says, "No squad has paid a greater price for this success than you guys. Hard work, discipline, mutual respect, and love have put you in the Super Bowl. Thanks for taking me with you, Coach Vermeil."